Hey everyone, happy Pokemon Day. This is some really fun news and a really good day to, take a little comeback from my master's work hiatus that schoolwork has caused me. But today we're going to take a seat, talk about what was announced on Pokemon Day, and I'm going to give my thoughts and opinions on some of this stuff. And I've also noticed some changes versus this morning. The one good thing about, having a job and having a kid and having to wait till 9 o'clock at night to record a video is that when things get updated, you can see the changes. So you can see updates as they play on. And there is one thing I noticed, which I am really curious about. So if you guys enjoy this content, do not forget to like and subscribe and let me know down in the comments below how you enjoyed the Pokemon Presents. First off, all the little stuff, the Cafe Remix, the Unite, the TCG, I'm not going to talk about. I don't care about it. It's not my cup of tea. Pokemon Sleep, I haven't played Pokemon Sleep in forever. Even Go, I haven't played that much of Go. I did get a shiny Genesect though, so that's a plus. But we're gonna jump right to, where was it? TCGPocket. I have been playing a decent amount of TCGPocket here, and so they are talking about the new subset, which is going to be Triumphant something with Arceus, and it seems like a lot of the cards in the set surround Arceus and benefit from having Arceus in the deck. So are they going to be worth it just to throw an Arceus in the deck? I don't know. I can't wait. It's going to come out in a couple of hours, so we won't have long to wait to figure it out. So that will be Triumphant Light. That is the set. The one thing I am excited about is my boy T-Tar's in it. And if you haven't already, you can get special gift packs until April. You get one of each Charizard, Mewtwo, and Pikachu from a Genetic Apex. And all of these packs are guaranteed to have a 4-star rarity or higher. Most of mine were just EXs. There was one where I got the Mewtwo one, I got a Gengar EX, and I also got a Giovanni full art. So that was exciting. On to the next things. Masters EX, I haven't really cared about. Ooh, also, there's special events coming for Pokemon Day. We know that. Ranked matches at the end of March. So that will be exciting. It will probably make me feel really bad about my ability to get a deck and play it well. I've been using the Dialga Melmetal deck right now. Celebi, the one I use the Superior Celebi. It's too slow right now. So, and I haven't gotten enough Palkias to run the Palkia deck. But yeah, I'm excited to try that out when it comes. You got the Megas coming out, and I haven't been buying Pokemon cards. I don't have time to hunt and fight scalpers at early hours in the morning when the shipment trucks come in. So there's no cards left by the time I get there. So I haven't been buying them. That and I'm broke. But we got Mega Evolution coming back. The one thing I found interesting is that the Mega Evolutions are built off of the previous evolutions. So like the stage before it, where I believe when Mega Evolutions were in the TCG before, you had to have a Lucario then evolve into a Mega Lucario. So they're doing something a little different, and I wonder how that will benefit the uses of Mega Evolution. But we get into the meat and cheese, the video game, and this is all the stuff that I'm excited for. So we get phone covers. That's really exciting. I know you were all waiting for that. And then mass outbreaks based around the colors red, green, and blue. I don't know why they picked them. It's weird, but you are going to have one Pokemon for each color representation in each area that goes until my birthday. So I'm excited for that. I feel like most of these mons I have shiny already. I could use another Charcadet. And maybe another Applin, but that's about it. So, I might get bored and jump into a few of these. What I really enjoyed seeing here was the next piece of information, which comes to the 6-star raids, which you will get the Mighty Meowscarada, Skeledirge, and Quaquaval, which is exciting, which means you can catch them in whatever ball you want. And usually you have to wait a decently long time to catch a starter in a different type of Pokeball. It used to be almost impossible with a few exceptions, but now you can. And Meowscarada is live now. I haven't tried it yet. I don't know what's the best attempt for it, but you know, these are going to be fun. And I definitely thought they were going to be done once they covered all the previous starters. I didn't know if they were going to do this generation starter, so it's nice to see that they're completing the set, so you can have, if you've done all of them, you can have all of the starters with the Mighty Mark. But then they're also doing the pseudo legendaries, and I would assume that they're starting with Tyranitar because they already did Dragonite. I don't know if Dragonite was their way of testing the waters, but it's exciting to see. So it's nice to see that they are still adding more things for people who aren't focused on the VGC to do, and giving people some new things to collect within Scarlet and Violet. Now, here's the big thing that everyone is freaking out about, and I'm excited as well, but I'm also like kind of skeptical. I'm not gonna lie. I think it's really funny that they focused on like the sweat in certain parts of this trailer to say that like VGC is like sweaty. We're sweaty gamers and we try really hard. And I guess that is VGC, but it reflects on all the different forms of the ways that we could compete, which the Battle Stadium, the link cables, the Battle Revolution, and you've seen it already. We've all talked about it. It's Pokemon Champions. First of all, it says not actual gameplay footage. I would have to say that it's probably going to look close to this, but they can't say. They have to put that little disclaimer at the bottom here. And this is what seems to be so far basically an official version of Showdown that is not only on the Switch, but mobile as well. So you'll be able to play against people, whether they're on their phone or they're on their Switch. And this is going to be double battles. It's VGC oriented. So people are really excited about that because it gives us a way to play VGC without worrying about the issues that may come across with the games, like with Scarlet and Violet had a lot of issues. Since this is the possibility of a separate way to battle, this is going to not have to worry about all the bugs in the mainline games, right? And then also you don't have to worry about certain restrictions when it comes to Pokemon. In this video, you see Aegislash. Aegislash is not in Scarlet and Violet. And the other big thing is that you also see Charizard Mega Evolve, which makes sense, but you also see Dondozo Terastallize. So we have Megas and Tera in the same format, which I thought they were going to do anyway with Pokemon ZA coming out. But it's good to see it like confirmed, and they're able to do it through this application here, game. But I'm very hesitant on it. It's going to be called Pokemon Champions, and so the one thing I want to note is, let's see, do they play it or do I have to go to the official trailer? Yeah, they cut it out of this one. So if you go over to the official trailer on the website, we can see that it says, get ready to experience everything you've loved about Pokemon battles all in one place. In Pokemon Champions, this new battle-focused game will feature familiar mechanics such as Pokemon types, abilities, and moves, creating an environment conducive to rich and varied strategies for new and experienced trainers alike. It's not just the familiar mechanics. You'll be able to bring in classic Pokemon from Pokemon Home too. Look forward to cross-platform battles alongside your favorite Pokemon on Nintendo Switch and mobile, with a variety of different modes available for your desired experience. Showdown. It seems like they're describing Showdown. The one thing that worries me is it doesn't say items, and I get why you wouldn't say items in this description here, but I kind of worry that with the connection to mobile, we might see kind of a Pokemon TCGPocket version of VGC battles, which could get people into it, but a lot of people are looking at this as Showdown for like an official Showdown. And so if it's anything other than that, people are going to be very disappointed, and it's going to be quite a bummer. But so far I'm hopeful, but I'm also wary of like, let's not put all of our eggs in one basket until we know really what we're getting. We'll find out more information about this, but a lot of people think that this is going to be the future of VGC, which leads me to a lot more questions about how they would run that with the issues of mobile and not. But the one thing that I wanted to point out, that if we go to this video here, at the very end, there is some, like disclaimers and stuff. It says screenshots and footage are from the product in development and not final. Products, contents, features, etc. subject to change. Does not reflect actual gameplay experience. And then it's got all the copyright stuff, yada, yada, yada. At the time of release, only Pokemon will be available for use in Pokemon Champions. Not all Pokemon available in Pokemon Home will appear in Pokemon Champions. So there is still going to be Dexit. You're not going to be able to bring whatever you want. You're not going to have your Tera Electric Shedinja with Air Balloon. Sorry, you're not going to have your Tera Fairy Geomancy with Chi-Yu and Misty Terrain, Xerneas. But they're going to have like a limited dex, and this makes sense because they want to build up this game. They probably prioritized having certain Pokemon there at the beginning. But if we continue, it says the Pokemon that you can send to Pokemon Champions via Pokemon Home are limited to the Pokemon that appear in Pokemon Champions. Makes sense, just like all the other games. Pokemon you have originally obtained in Pokemon Champions cannot be deposited in Pokemon Home. So this kind of led me, when I first saw this, and people pointing it out on Twitter, is that you would receive Pokemon through Pokemon Champions, whether it's through the form of rental teams, or you can actually obtain Pokemon through Pokemon Champions, which led me to a lot of questions. And it makes sense that if someone was starting brand new into the world of Pokemon, or coming back to the world of Pokemon because of Pokemon Champions, they would need Pokemon to battle. If they don't have a collection to home or haven't played Pokemon Go, they don't have Pokemon to use yet. So maybe Champions would give them Pokemon. How do they give them Pokemon? How do they get their Pokemon ready for battle? Do they have to EV train them before? Or is there EV training in the game? These are all things that we don't know yet. But that part there told me that Pokemon Champions was going to give you Pokemon. But if we go over to the press site for Pokemon, that section has already been removed. In the Pokemon Champions, there used to be 2 little notes here. Now there's just one, and it just says limitations apply at the time of release. Only select Pokemon will be available for use in Pokemon Champions. Not all Pokemon available in Pokemon Home will appear in Pokemon Champions. The Pokemon you can send to Pokemon Champions via Pokemon Home are limited to the Pokemon that appear in Pokemon Champions. So they totally removed the part about receiving Pokemon in Champions, how they can't be moved to home. So that tells me one of 2 things. It's either you can't actually receive Pokemon in Champions, or that the Pokemon you do receive in Champions can be moved to Pokemon Home. So once again, more questions and answers, but this was just a funny thing to note, how they have already updated some of the information that we have seen. So that's Pokemon Champions. What do you guys think about it in the comments down below? Let me know. I'm kind of wary on it. I want to be super excited. I want to be like, it's official Showdown. But I want to see what it is before I get super hyped. Pokemon fans have a real big problem of thinking that everything is going to be magical and wonderful and exactly how they dreamed. And Pokemon tends to ruin those ideas. And then people get mad when it's not what they dreamed. So I want to see it first before I get super excited. But either way, this looks really cool. I'm excited for it to come out, but I am skeptical on the impact. Either way, it's going to make VGC way more accessible to start in and try. You don't need to play 30 hours of the mainline games, collect a bunch of Pokemon, do this and that. You'll just be able to have a phone. The other thing they removed something else. Or did they move it up here? Oh, yeah. Okay, so at the beginning, there was the other footnote. They edited the first footnote. The second footnote was that you needed Nintendo Switch Online to play Pokémon Champions, which kind of was confusing to me because of the fact that if you have mobile, do you need Nintendo Switch Online still? Are you going to pay $20 a month to have a mobile app? That didn't make any sense to me because you don't need a Nintendo Switch Online subscription to move Pokemon to Pokemon Home from Pokemon Go or do any of these other Pokemon games. But it looks like they have removed that. So it seems like you might be able to play competitive Pokemon VGC through Pokemon Champions without a Nintendo Switch Online. Well, once again, we'll have to see more questions than answers. But once again, I don't know what it will be like. I don't know. But I'm excited to find out and learn. I think it's going to open up more accessibility and it's going to get more people to hopefully play VGC. And maybe we might finally have some locals closer than 40 minutes away. The other thing they brought up is that this is done with Game Freak in charge, but all the work is being done by Pokemon Works, which is a joint venture or company with Ilka. So Ilka is still involved, which makes sense because they're still in charge of Pokemon Home. They did BDSP, so it makes sense that they're getting Ilka to keep working on Pokemon stuff. And I think that the fact that they made Game Freak in charge of it this time is probably because of the reaction of BDSP and the way that was managed by Ilka with the bugs and the global trading and all that stuff. Yeah, see, it even says it here, Pokemon you have originally obtained in Pokemon Champions cannot be deposited into Pokemon Home. That is removed from their press kit, right? But this is really cool to see that Pokemon Champions will be a place for both of these Pokemon to go from Pokemon Go and from Pokemon Scarlet and Violet and future games, hopefully. But this is kind of how competitive was with Scarlet and Violet anyway. How is this any different than moving a Pokemon from Go to Home and then from Home to Scarlet and Violet? I don't know. But it's curious to see whether the Pokemon in Pokemon Home that you move from Pokemon Home, will they stay into Champions? How do you manage that? The next part is that Pokemon games are now going to come in Latin America Spanish. So I'm going to make the ignorant assumption that before it was just European Spanish. And so the dialects and some of the verbiage, I believe, are different. And this is good for accessibility. This means that more people can play without the language barrier, especially when you think about it with young kids. Most of the time, the language that you learn at a young age is your primary language. So if the game that you want to play is in a different language, there's going to be challenges, even if the differences are just dialects or verbiage, or maybe certain words. But this is good because more people get to play Pokemon in the way that is most comfortable for them. And the last part is ZA, which is another big part that I am going to focus on. That stare, man. Oh, obviously, if you didn't notice by now, there is no sound in this in the videos because, the whole copyright thing. But we find out a lot of things about ZA, and also at the same time don't find out anything. So this is the female protagonist and the male protagonist, and so far the game looks really good. I noticed, let's play a little bit more. You see Lumio City, and the whole game is centered in Lumio City. And so one thing I kind of noticed about the Pokemon models is that they kind of moved away from the realistic fur and textures and details and kind of went more towards the kind of visuals you see in Detective Pikachu on the Nintendo Switch. It's more of a cartoony style than that. I think they might have done this because of the performance issues that we saw in Scarlet and Violet. Legend Arceus was a more contained game, so that one had more of a realistic vibe, but this one does have a brighter, more cartoony vibe overall, and these look very familiar to the kinds of models and Pokemon designs you would see in Detective Pikachu Returns. So that's curious there. I think that choice was made due to the frame rate issues. And so I don't know how I feel about that. I kind of liked the textures that were going on in Scarlet and Violet, so it's a bummer to maybe see those go. But at the same time, this looks like Pokemon. It looks good. It does look good. Does it look amazing? No. Does it look like a 2025 game? Not really. Does it look like a good Pokemon game? Absolutely. Let's go back to the starters. I paused on there and then I totally glossed over it. Chikorita, Tepig, and Totodile. People feel weird about this, and I'm really indifferent about it. I'm excited to see this because these Pokemon needed more attention. These three Pokemon in particular needed more attention. They needed something to jazz up their final evolutions. And so whatever we get, whether it's a Mega Evolution or it's a regional evolution for their final forms that we saw in Legends Arceus, that is exciting. Chikorita, Meganium, needed something. Feraligatr is good, but Feraligatr has been kind of missed to the ways. And the same thing with Emboar. These are their final evolutions are all good, but they need more. And I think that ZA is going to give them more. And a lot of people have already started making speculations. My speculations are a little different. If we go over to the starters on the main page, some of the words they use, for Chikorita, they use lightening the mood. Why would they use the word lightning? Maybe there's some electric type. Springing around, launching yourself into the air, springing around. Maybe fire flying. Maybe pigs will fly. They kind of made that joke with Lechonk in Scarlet and Violet. Maybe that was a tease, I think that's a bit of a stretch. But what would a flying fire Emboar look like? I don't know. And then Totodile is just talking about how it bites. Maybe they add the dark typing to it, but I don't think they would do that, counting on the fact that, the last water starter in Legends Arceus is Hisuian Samurott, which is dark and water. So would they repeat it? I don't know. But then again, how many times did we get a fire fighting final starter evolution? we could see them do it again. I would not be surprised if that's the case, because most biting type moves, like Bite and Crunch, they are dark type moves. And biting has always been like Totodile's thing. But maybe I'm just looking too much into the text, and there are other clues as well. But which one are you going with? I'm Totodile fam for sure. You are able to do kind of like the Let's Go feature. And the one thing I like with this Let's Go feature is that they just don't disappear when your Let's Go Pokemon attacks them, right? You still have the opportunity to catch them when they're knocked out. And later on in the video, we see that this is the case in battles as well. We got the teleporting up the thing. And here's something, this part right here. This little pop-up here, I talked about this in the Discord, and I think that there's a Pokemon there. I think that there's a Pokemon involved, but they removed the model, made it invisible for the sake of the trailer, not to spoil anything. Someone in the Discord, Gudra, did bring up that you can kind of see the Rotom phone. So they were speculating that it's the Rotom phone that's lifting them up like that, which sounds possible, but I think they're hiding something. I think that we're going to see a Pokemon there lift them up. Here's another big feature of this, is that you can now dodge moves with your character and with your Pokemon. And so this is going to be more of real-time battles, which is unique. It kind of aligns this more to like Pokken. So you're able to move around, dodge moves, and time your switches so you can dodge moves as well. And I think that's going to be pretty cool. Of course, Mega Evolution is back. We knew that was coming with the revisiting of Kalos. One thing I do want to note is that I looked it up, and I think on the website, Mega Sableye is featured. Where is it? Yeah, Mega Sableye, and then Mega Altaria is on the website and also in the trailer. Those are both Mega Evolutions that were in Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. So it seems like we are not going to be limited to just the Megas they had in X and Y. We're going to get access to most of the Megas depending on whether they are in ZA or not. We got this little group. What is this group called? Those are your friendly rivals. This is the ZA Hotel. This group right here, according to the website, Quella's Artico. I'm probably saying that wrong, but this is Jet and Vinny. Jet is the CEO. One thing I think it was Andy La VGC brought up is that this is one of the companies that you can see in the stadiums in Sword and Shield. So they have been showing this logo. They have been teasing this, or maybe just creating an overall connected world since Sword and Shield. So that's really cool to see that they are still using like the same logos and they're connecting them. You got AZ. He's still around. He's still alive. Insane that he's still alive. He's like 3,000 years old. He's like 3,015 years old at this point. But now he runs a hotel. You know, he went from being a king and destroying the world to traveling the world for thousands of years to running a hotel. You know, weird way, but you know, AZ's Floret is here. Now, it's still AZ's, but will there be a point in the game where we get it eventually? I don't know. I hope we do, because that way people can stop complaining about how we have never been able to attain this Pokemon. But at the same time, I hope we don't, because that means something bad happens to AZ where he doesn't want his Floret anymore that he waged a war over. We got Zygarde 10%, the Doggo Zygarde. And the last thing we really find out, they kind of talk about how there's all these beautiful areas, and instead of having, areas where you travel, also can we just note? Mega Tyranitar, Mega Salamence. Also my boy Tyranitar. Look at Loftar. Just the cutest guy. Just the cutest guy. We see the Aegislash, the back, Garbodor. They show a bunch of Pokemon. Weeping Bell, I don't remember if Weeping Bell was in X and Y before this. That's something I want to look in, but I'm a big Victory Bell fan. I'm a fan of this. You see, instead of like having to travel to different maps, there are little wild areas, like little enclosures that they allow the Pokemon in the city to roam free, and that's where your catching is going to take place. Talk about some of the characters, yada yada yada. Here it is, the wild zones. These are the wild zones. These are where you're going to catch the Pokemon. So you're probably going to unlock them as they go. And they're probably really limiting what they're showing here. Hopefully there's like new Pokemon. I don't know how I feel about the UI. I know that it's probably like not final, but it just feels like way too, like too clean, almost like too minimalistic. But you see the Fletchling, you have like the arrows, which probably means that it is trying to say where it's going to move, or maybe that it has an enhanced stat. But here you see Flaffy, and you see a bunch of interesting things on this screen. So first of all, a lot of people, like obviously there's some kind of danger indicator here. You can see that there are arrows pointing up, just like it was on the Fletchling. And so this might be some kind of stat, or this might be its like likeliness to flee. I don't know what that means yet. You can see the little feed of what's going on the side, just like we did with Legends Arceus. And the move selected is on top of Chikorita's head, rather than there being a text box here saying like, oh, Chikorita used this. You have visuals of all your Pokemon, and it seems like the moves are going to be attached to the buttons, which makes more sense if you're going to be allowed to constantly move not only the player character, but in turn the Pokemon moving with your player character. So you have to have other ways to confirm attacks while moving. Unlike, Scarlet and Violet, where you're stationary, and if you're playing on the controller or on a Joy-Con, like the only time you really need to move this part during a battle is to select your moves. But if you're using this to move around now, you need a new way to select your moves. It's probably going to be the buttons. The other thing we notice is that leafage is not filled up. So it looks like leafage cannot be used. This kind of says that this game won't have power points, PP, we usually call it in the Pokemon world, power points. Instead, they're going to have cooldowns. So you're not going to be able to spam the same move over and over again, but you're also going to have to wait to cool it down. The one thing they talked about when it came to moving the character is that moves are going to have range, and they're going to have like animation times. So some moves might be really easy to dodge, while some moves might be like harder. Some moves you're going to have to be real close. Like think about like how they call it close combat, where like in the older Pokemon games, the model like jump forward. Now you're going to have to make sure that your Pokemon is actually close enough to hit the close combat. And some moves are going to be like really far away. Like I'd have to imagine if Inteleon was in this game, like Snipe Shot would have like unlimited range or something like that. The other thing that a lot of people have been bringing up is Disarming Voice, which is not a move that Chikorita usually learns, but it is a fairy type move. So a lot of people are speculating that Chikorita is going to have the fairy typing in whatever it gets, whether it's a Mega Evolution or a regional like evolution. They think it's going to be fairy. I wouldn't mind if it was fairy. I wouldn't mind if it was the electric. Do we have an electric grass Pokemon? I don't know. But I'm excited to see whatever they do with Chikorita. I think this is really interesting, seeing the cooldowns. I wonder how people are going to respond to this, because you're going to have to be more engaged in Pokemon battles. That is, I'm saying that like that's weird, but like I know a lot of people really like Pokemon because like it can be a very passive thing. It can be like you can play a Pokemon game while watching a movie or while doing this and that. If you have to actively like move your trainer and keep your eye on cooldowns, it might be a little more difficult to play it like passively. Is there anything else I noticed? Oh, I didn't realize how much was in that small little section. So you can see Tepig is going to use rollout, but it like the windup is super slow, so that like they're able to dodge it. There is Protect, and Stealth Rocks is not just going to be on switch in. They're moving around the Pokemon to make sure that they didn't get hit with the flamethrower, and they got it cleared to switch in safely. Oh, that's it. When it comes to the Mega Evolution here, once again with the move cooldown, we see this little symbol here. It looks like a maybe like a C with a plus. And oh, hold on. That looks like a gauge that empties. I wonder if you're only going to be able to Mega Evolve for like a certain amount of time. That's interesting. I just noticed that. So yeah, once again, there are moves that need to be boosted. There are moves that look like they can be boosted with the Pokemon's ability or with Mega Evolution, similar to, you know, stronger Swift style and Pokemon Legends Arceus, but it looks like it's going to be done by Mega Evolution, and it looks like this doesn't fill up or it empties. That is something I literally just noticed. I wonder what that means. Like, are you only going to have your Pokemon Mega Evolve for a certain amount of time in the battle? Oh yeah, it is getting empty. You can see it. The gauge is emptying. Either way, I'm really excited. I just want some new Pokemon. The other thing that we found out is that this is going to be late 2025. So this is going to be our holiday game. So assume that it's going to come out in the first and second week of November before Black Friday, so we can get all that Christmas sale and the Christmas money. Things are subject to change. It's not final. Nintendo Switch logo. So I would have to assume that this is coming to the Nintendo Switch 1 and will be playable on the Nintendo Switch 2 via backwards compatibility. So we'll have to see if there's a difference, or maybe this is going to be just a Nintendo Switch 2 game. I don't know. Because the Nintendo Switch logo could be a placeholder, or it could represent the family of games. But that is really all my thoughts, my feelings. I kind of vomited them out. You get this little thing at the end. People are speculating that this is like Looker's office or something. And it says, this is a promotional match announcement. Maybe instead of like Tera raids, they're going to have people come in that you can battle. And I would have to assume, like, when it comes to the logos for like the stamps that they put on the Pokemon in their like little about me section, before with Kalos, it was the little pentagon shape. I would have to say that this is probably going to be the symbol they used to indicate whether a Pokemon was caught in Legends ZA. But yeah, that's it. What do you think in the comments down below? What are you most excited for? And what do you think about Pokemon Champions? Is it gonna say VGC, or is it gonna be TCGPocket for VGC? Let me know in the comments down below. But it was fun to sit here and ramble. I miss doing this. I hope you guys miss me as well. If you do want to continue talking about this, you can either check me out on Twitter or in the Discord link in the description down below. But that is going to be all. Yeah, let's keep talking about it in the comments. But that's going to be all. Till next time, I'm Zach, and we'll see everyone later.